Ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing? The BBC homepage today is a one-story homepage. All I want to talk about is this one. Look at the size of that photograph on the front page. There he is, bloke in a suit. Ignore everything else. Paul Doyle accused of using car as a weapon, court told. He is charged with multiple offences after 79 people were hurt when a car was driven through a crowd. Paul Doyle appeared at Liverpool Crown Court on Friday. Bosh. There he is, looking pensive in the dock. Yeah, but I want to know something. I want to know why this almost boring road rage incident, and that's what it seems to be, when the bloke's in his car and it's getting hammered by loads of people, so he either loses his rag or panics and drives it through a load of them to get out, and then doesn't kill anyone. Why that becomes an international global headline pushed everywhere from Taunton to Timbuktu, and then plasters his face all over the world for everyone to see and make stupid comments about, oh, this is weird. Why aren't they asking middle-aged white men to apologise for this? What, this road rage incident? Like nobody knows the dictionary definition of terrorism anymore. I also want to know why I'm sick of looking at his boat race for the last 24 hours when Axel Rudu Kanubu, when he got a little bit knifey with little girls' faces, funny old thing, didn't really see much of him. The media was strangely quiet about the most horrific atrocity in British history. So sit back and we'll take a brief trip down memory lane. I'll look at the media response to things like that and a couple of regulars at Alan's snack bar windmilling on a policewoman's face in an airport and a certain councillor threatening to cut people's throats and, strolling around willy-nilly for the rest of his life, apparently. And why, comparatively, I've seen more of this bloke the last 3 days than I have my own missus. So, yeah, we'll get into it. Let's do it. Right, you already know the answer, don't you? It's almost boring. It's almost boring. The demented globalist sociopath playbook is just simply being followed as usual, and that's why you're sick of looking at this bloke's face. And by the end of today, you'll know his name, his address, and his mother's shoe size. A former Royal Marine who was accused of deliberately driving his car into a crowd has appeared in court. Paul Doyle appeared at both Liverpool Magistrates Court and Liverpool Crown Court, where he faced 7 charges, including wounding with intent, causing grievous bodily harm, and attempting to use GBH with intent, and dangerous driving. Dangerous driving. Sort of self-explanatory, that one. I'm surprised they felt the need to throw it in. The court alleged that he used his car as a weapon. Again, no shit Sherlock. When it was driven into crowds. And there's a picture of him as well. Yeah, pictures, photos, exact length of his chopper down to the millimetre. We've got it all. His case was then fast-tracked to Liverpool Crown Court, where more serious offences are dealt with. I mean, I could stop there. Fast-tracked. More serious offences. He lost his rag and drove through a crowd. It's a serious offence because regulars at Alan's snack bar frequently do that to mass murder people, and a bloke in Nice did it with a truck and squashed hundreds of people like frogs. But what's that got to do with him? However, you know what wasn't deemed a serious offence that needs to be fast-tracked? Axel Rudu Kanubu using little girls as a pincushion in one of the most vile atrocities that has ever been committed in the British Isles ever. Which is why Lucy Connolly lost her rag and got very, 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 very upset about it, because everybody was upset when they saw 8-year-old girls pissing blood all over the pavement. And, oh yeah, hang on, she's in prison, isn't she? Yeah, she is, because she said something rude on Twitter. But Ricky Jones isn't in prison for talking about cutting people's throats. That's a bit weird, isn't it? No, it's not weird. It's 2025. Globalist sociopaths run the world with an iron fist, and nobody cares enough to do anything about it because everybody's fat and well-fed and they've got nice memory foam mattresses and Netflix and on-demand junk food and whatever else they want, so nobody gives 2 shits. But might I suggest people should give 2 shits, because this bloke is going to be dealt with like he was Fred West. Fred West and Harold Shipman on a bad day. They're going to smash him. I only hope he's got the common dog to not play the game and, as usual, take his chances with the jury trial, because what the last few years has taught me is that the idea that they treat you better if you plead guilty is a ghost of the past. That doesn't happen anymore. The only reason Lucy Connolly's in prison is because she was daft enough to plead guilty because, well, it's not her fault. Because they segregated her, put her in a cell, put the frighteners on her, lied to her, and then got some paid shill, dodgy solicitor who works for them to give her bad legal advice and say, think of your family. Come on, think of your family and your husband and your surviving children. Oh, yeah, think of them. Just sign this and you won't go to prison. That's how they nailed her, and consequently engaged in the most grotesque act of miscarriage of justice in the history of the UK and embarrassed me internationally. It's disgraceful what happened there. And this is more of the same. Meaningless trash. Because we all know what happened when the most horrific atrocity in British history happened. We all remember that, don't we? And News.com reported that the Southport suspect's TV pass was deleted from the internet. The teen accused of carrying out the mass stabbing starred in BBC ads that have been wiped from the internet. Weird that, innit? How strange. And then after lying about it and covering it up and just totally filling the airwaves with unfiltered bollocks for weeks, when they did start talking about him, we got unassuming schoolboy. And we got nice photos of him with his school uniform on and in Doctor Who and everything else he did. Do you see what I'm talking about? It's preposterous. It's preposterous. They're not just double standards. They're double, triple, quadruple, multiplying like gremlins in the baths standards. That's what they are. And this whole thing, this boring act of definitely not terrorism, is now going to be ran with for weeks. Talk about them two lads punching the policewoman's face in an airport for a bit. If I punched a policewoman in the face in an airport, the one part of the world you can't piss about, I'd have more holes in me than Benny Hill's loafers, right? They'd have ventilated me instantly. But they get to do it with impunity. And then the BBC and Channel 4 and LBC and the mainstream media as a whole and the British government and the College of Policing and the MPs and the House of Lords play cover-up for them because they're trying to spin a narrative. And they'll succeed because they always do. And this is leading on from yesterday's video. They'll get to the point where it's rational and logical to assume when a bloke runs into a crowded shopping mall shouting about Alan's snack bar and redecorates the walls in brain matter grey with a few dozen women and kids, everyone should be going, oh, you know who done that? Probably a white ex-bootneck, yeah, because they do that loads. They do that loads. They're all terrorists. Everybody knows that. Anyway, I've lost my rag and I've shot my bolt. I'm done for the day. I'm going to be out for another week as of Saturday afternoon because I've got to go and do more work stuff. It's doing me head in. I'm really sick of having a proper job. So alas, you're going to be late on Bootneck again next week. However, I've got time to do one last stream. I'll knock that out tomorrow at 7 p.m. UK time. Be there or be square. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gents. Let me know in the comments what you think as usual, and I'll see you all very soon. All right, toodle pip. Cheers.